Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to Friday. The weekend is very nearly here. I hope you're having a very good day wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Like I said, weekend just very, very close. It might even be the weekend by the time you're watching or listening to this. And that, of course, means Arsenal versus Leicester on Saturday. Now, Mikel Arteta is speaking a little bit later on today. Again, by the time you're watching this, he might well have already spoken. His press conference at 1:30 p.m. UK time. I was going to be going to it. Unfortunately, something has come up, which means I can't go to it. So that's a bit annoying. But the good thing is that does actually mean that I can sit down with James Benge a little bit later on today, and we've got some time to record Inside Arsenal Extra Time. That's a little bit later in the week as normal. Unfortunately, James has been laid up pretty low with COVID during the week, but he's on the mend, he says, and feeling strong enough to record a show a little bit later on today. So watch out for that. You want to get involved in Extra Time this week, then you know what to do. Get into the comments below with your questions or your comments. Start it with Extra Time and let us know, and we'll pull something together and get included in the show. We'll, of course, be reacting to what Mikel Arteta has had to say in his pre-match press conference as well. So that's coming a little bit later on today. In this morning show, I wanted to sort of start by looking ahead to the Leicester game and wondering who could start this game for Arsenal, because there's some quite big decisions, quite interesting decisions Mikel Arteta has got to make. The best thing to come from Wednesday night's Carabao Cup game is some of those players who were given their opportunity to start, took that opportunity so well that potentially they've forced their way into Mikel's thinking, which is exactly what you want from a cup game. I really hope Arsenal win tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day for me. I'm not sitting in the press box tomorrow. I'm sitting in my seat and I'm taking my son with me. It's his first ever game, 8 years old. He's very, very excited. He's been counting down the days to this. My dad, thank you, Dad, if you're watching, has very gladly, not gladly, it's probably the wrong word, kindly given my son his ticket. He's transferred his ticket to him for the game. So yeah, big moment taking my son for the first time. I just really, really hope they win. And we didn't win actually when I went to my first game way back in January 1989. Drew 1-1 with Sheffield Wednesday. Merce scored our goal, but I'm really hoping that, of course, Arsenal win tomorrow. It's a big day. I don't know what I'm going to do, because normally I do my player ratings video, that sort of thing. I think I will still record something. It might be more of a little sort of vlog of the day almost for me and my son tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled. There might be something coming from the game tomorrow, but if there's not, that is why. It's because I'm on dad duties rather than on YouTube duties for the day. But yes, Leicester, obviously big game. Sorry, get a bit sidetracked there. Big decisions facing Mikel Arteta. Is a really interesting one in terms of what he's going to do. Now, I kind of said yesterday in my show that I think Ethan Nwaneri should start this game after what happened in midweek, after his two-goal performance in the cup game, albeit against the League One side. Of course, opposition has to be taken into account. Everything I've seen from Ethan suggests that he's ready to step up and perform. Now, I'm not saying in every single game. I don't expect him to start on Tuesday night in the Champions League against PSG, for example, but I just think this is a perfect opportunity to give him his first Premier League start. I kind of explained yesterday, but I'll go over it again. You're going to be playing alongside probably Declan Rice and Thomas Partey. You're coming in on the back of 2 goals in midweek. You're extremely confident. Arsenal, of course, are missing Martin Odegaard for injury. And it just feels a perfect time to introduce him. And it's no disrespect to Leicester. I'm not saying it because Leicester are a rubbish team. They're not. They're a Premier League team. They're going to be difficult for Arsenal. They're going to have to break them down tomorrow. But I don't really see an argument why you shouldn't start Ethan in this game. Obviously, Leo Trossard's back available after his suspension. He missed the game against Bolton, and so you could play Trossard in that Odegaard position, have Havertz in front of him, or you could have play Havertz in that position, have Trossard in front of him, which is, we've seen Mikel do that before. But I just think Ethan, for this game, it just makes so much sense to me to play him, and I don't really see why not. I mean, a few of you have been sort of getting in touch in response to what I was talking about yesterday, and Rex here at the top says, Charles, you're getting carried away, mate. He's still a kid. He played against Bolton. Let's not get too carried away. See, I don't think I'm getting carried away. Again, I'm not saying Ethan has to start every single game now and he should be the first name on the team sheet. I just think looking at this game, looking at the confidence he'll have, the fact that Arsenal are going to play on Tuesday night against PSG, which I don't expect Ethan to play in, and I don't think he probably should play in that game. You go for a little bit more experience potentially in that one. This one just feels the perfect one to me. You've got your experienced players around him. Declan Rice is back in the team now, obviously, has been for a couple of games. So he can guide him through. You'll have Thomas Partey behind him. It's going to be a game where Arsenal are going to have an awful lot of the ball. Probably not going to, they're going to be up against a pretty low block, I imagine. We're going to try and hit Arsenal on the break with balls over the top for Vardy and Steffi Mavidi or something like that to chase. It just feels like a game that you can play Ethan in and he's not going to be overly exposed to it. And so that's my reasoning for it personally. So that's why I think he should be. And I get some more of your comments here. MHE87 says, I want to be more carefully from Charles, I want to be more careful, I think, from a fitness perspective. Given Ethan too many minutes in games too close together, I would have him come on for 30 minutes against Leicester and PSG, then start him against Southampton. See, I don't think Ethan's going to be in any sort of trouble fitness-wise after playing on Wednesday. Random Mage says, I think Nwaneri has to start at the weekend. He's earned his moment. He'll be well protected by Rice and Partey, who have never lost a Premier League match while playing together. I didn't even realise that. This doesn't get discussed enough, but the last match Partey lost in an Arsenal shirt was May 2023 in that cursed match against Forest. Hopefully him, Rice and Ethan can keep up that streak. Come on, you Gunners. And Balogun down the bottom there says, sandwich Ethan in between Rice and Partey with Martinelli and Saka. Trossard super subbing. Ethan is calm and his decision-making reminds me of Saka when he broke into the first team. I mean, that point there about him being calm, again, I think he'll take it. I don't think he'd be nervous going into the game tomorrow if he was to start, which is just another reason why I just feel he's ready. And I don't sometimes I look at these sort of games and you're playing youngsters, and I know there's always calls for Ethan to start, and I've always been a bit wary of them, thinking, maybe this isn't like people saying start him against Tottenham away in the North London derby. I never bought into that. I just don't think that would have been the right thing, right sort of game to start Ethan in. But he did come on and he showed, maturity beyond his years, the way he sort of saw out that last 10 minutes when he did come into the pitch. But then I just think this is such a perfect game potentially to do it in, that it just makes loads of sense to me. So that's personally why I would do it. And I think another really key point of it is if you do play Ethan in that sort of Martin Odegaard role, you can move Kai Havertz back to playing as a central striker, which again, I just think is really, really important, because I just think Arsenal are a much better team when Havertz played there. I think Havertz has done a brilliant job playing in this sort of in the midfield role in the absence of Odegaard at the moment. I thought he was fantastic against Spurs, brilliant against Manchester City. Work ethic is unbelievable. The selflessness that he plays with for the team is brilliant. I think he's done a great job, but I just like him see it. I just much prefer him playing as that central striker. I just think he's better at it, and I just think he makes Arsenal much, much better. So if you play Ethan there, you don't have to worry about dropping Kai back into that deeper role. You can have him as the focal point, have the wingers running off him, and then you've got the added goal threat of Ethan behind. Of course, we saw in midweek that he's very, very open to scoring goals. It's what he's done the whole way through his youth career. And he certainly showed on Wednesday night that he's got an eye for goals. So that's what I would be doing. I thought Gabriel Jesus played really well in the game. I know some of you didn't, but I thought he played really well in the game against Bolton. And I just came away from that thinking he looks pretty fit, which was the biggest takeaway for me, is that he does look fit and he's beginning to look sharp. He's getting his pace back a little bit. And that's a good thing. But I still would much rather have Kai Havertz playing as Arsenal's number 9 this weekend rather than Gabriel Jesus, just because for the reasons that I've mentioned. And so, again, it just adds to my argument that I think Ethan should be starting this game. But obviously, I know that plenty of you don't agree with that and think that it should be almost too much for risk or whatever. And I can understand that. But it'll be interesting to see what Mikel Arteta has to say later on in his press conference. I'm sure he's going to get asked about it. No doubt about that. He spoke afterwards. He said, I think his exact words were, he is ready. When he was talking about Ethan, and he said he's definitely going to get minutes in the Premier League. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But that's my sort of reasoning behind who I think should start in this game on Saturday. Sterling's another one to potentially talk about. KB has got in touch. Says, how close are we seeing Sterling to replace Martinelli? That move and cross for Ethan's goal versus Bolton was something we haven't seen from Gabby in a long while. If he's fit, I'd play him. What do you think? No, I wouldn't play him in this game. I think Martinelli's had a good couple of games. I thought he was Arsenal's best player against Manchester City. I thought he played really well in the first half when it was 11 against 11 and Arsenal was stretching City. I thought they were really struggling to deal with him. I thought he played well against Tottenham as well, though I know other people disagreed with me on that. I was really encouraged by Sterling's display in midweek, especially after that move that led to Ethan's first goal. I think it gave Raheem a lot of confidence. I think the first 20 minutes or so, he tried a couple of things that didn't really come off. Looked a little bit nervy, but that settled him down. And then he was very, very good in the second half, a real threat. And I think it's really great. I mean, this is why Arsenal signed Raheem Sterling, is to have these high quality options that you can bring in, that you can rotate, and that you don't have to just keep playing Saka or Martinelli all the time. But I'd bring Gabby back in for this game. I think it's important. I think he's beginning to show signs of really getting close towards his best. He does need a goal, no doubt about that. And hopefully he could get one if he does start at the weekend. So how close are we to seeing him? Look, Sterling continues to play like he did in midweek. Whenever he gets an opportunity, then he's going to be very close. And that's what you want. You want everyone putting pressure on each other, fighting for those places in the team, because competition is going to improve the quality of the squad. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you very much, KB, for your question. Okay, big night for the Arsenal women yesterday, of course, qualifying for the proper Champions League draw round. Sorry, the draw for those group stages is going to be today at 12, I think it is. So again, by the time you're watching this, it's probably, you might even have seen who Arsenal have got. They're in pot 2 for the draw. And yeah, brilliant result last night, 4-0. Went into that game under a lot of pressure after the 1-0 defeat in the first leg. Turned it round very, very well. Really professional performance from them. Jonas, obviously, delighted, says, I'm very happy. An important night for us. I think we showed a really good side to ourselves with fantastic backing from our supporters from minute one on the fact that, on European football, how much it means to Arsenal. He says, I think we did show how much it means to us. We said before the game that we had a really strong belief that we were going to overturn this game. We didn't know if it was going to happen in the first half or in the second half. We reminded ourselves about the number of times we've been able to turn around results. Sometimes we only need a couple of minutes to even score 2 goals. So to know that we have the quality in the group, but of course we prefer to score the goals earlier like we did today. Yeah, really good win for them, and massive for the club as well. The disappointment, honestly, was so vast last season when they failed to get through to the proper Champions League format. It was a real hammer blow to the club, in terms of their plans for the players as well, for the coaching staff. So to get there this time, to give themselves a shot of having a real good crack at the competition as well, and it's going to be some really special nights coming up at the Emirates because of it as well. So congratulations to the women. Looking forward to that draw a little bit later on. Okay, on to a few of your questions before we wrap this one up for today. Babs Knight there has got in touch and says, Vieira on loan at Porto. Did he play last night against Bodo in the Europa League? I watched the highlights and I couldn't spot him. You couldn't spot him, though, because he didn't play. Fabio Vieira is injured. Unfortunately, got injured a couple of weeks back in training and hasn't played yet since making that move to Porto. So Arsenal's luck of injuries so far this season is extending as far as players out on loan at the moment, which is a real shame because you want Vieira playing as quickly as possible. The whole idea of sending him out there is to get as many minutes into his legs as he possibly can get during this season, just to get his confidence levels back up again and get him playing. So for him to be sitting on the sidelines right now is not ideal. You just want him playing, and you want him playing very, very quickly. So hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. It's the same for Sambi Lokonga over at Sevilla. Played a few games over there, then his hamstring's gone like it did a couple of times when he was playing for Luton last season. So he's getting treatment now, trying to get back as quickly as possible. I saw he flew away somewhere to get treatment with a specialist somewhere to try and ensure he can come back as soon as possible for Sevilla. But those two especially, you're just desperate for them to be playing regularly and getting as much minutes as they possibly can on these loan spells. So the fact that they both started off injured is not ideal, but hopefully Fabio Sambi can be back as quickly as possible. Right, and that's it from me for today's show. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. Of course, like I said, I'll be back a little bit later on with James to do an extended version of Extra Time. We'll be reacting to Mikel Arteta's press conference that he's had to say today. Anything you want us to discuss in Extra Time, as I said at the start, get down below into the comments. Start it with Extra Time. Give us your question, your comment, your opinion, and pull some of them together and get them included in today's show. Until then, everyone, have a fantastic day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.